will be our prayer led by Commissioner Carter and our pledge led by Commissioner Huffine.
Bow your head, let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the blessings you have given us, for our nation that was founded upon your laws, and for our beautiful state, for the close communities in which we live. We ask that you guide our conversations tonight, and that you keep our conversations positive, Christ-like. Dear Lord, we confess that we all have problems and issues in our lives, both individually and collectively as a people. We know that by having faith in you, the answers are there. Please strengthen our faith. And lastly, Father, we know that there are times that you call upon us to be meek like lambs, and times that you call upon us to be mighty lions. Help us to know when those times are, Father, and give us the courage to be both. For in the powerful name of Jesus I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Let us salute the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, if you'll call the roll, please.
Tucker,
Here.
Johnson,
Here.
Fitzgerald,
Here.
Edens,
Here.
Davenport,
Here.
Matherly,
Here.
England,
Here.
Malone,
Here.
Williams, Tamita,
Here.
Jones, Wexler,
Here.
Huffine,
Here.
Wheeler,
Here.
Carter.
Here.
15 present.
15 present, we do have a quorum. Our next item is approval of the agenda. You have the agenda there in front of you. It's very limited to two items for your consideration tonight, really, and some budget resolutions. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
Move to.
Motion made by Commissioner Jones to approve the agenda.
Second.
Commissioner Wexler made the second. Discussion or question? Seeing none, all in favor of approving the agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. The agenda is approved. We'll move right on into our public comment hearing. Each individual shall be given 3 minutes to address the board regarding agenda items. Comments will be limited to items on the meeting's agenda. We do have 10 individuals that signed up tonight to speak. Our first one is Bernie Gray. Bernie, if you'll come forward to the podium and give your name and address to the clerk, please.
Bernie Gray, 216 University Parkway, Johnson City. My wife Helen and I have lived in Washington County our entire lives. Robbie McGuire has worked in the title in the property assessor's office for 16 years. And he desires to be a property assessor in this current position. Robbie helped our family, a group of individuals sued our family from our 200-year-old cemetery. He helped us in many ways. We were successful. We were very grateful to him. Further, at other times through the years, Robbie has helped me with genealogy questions related to always really helped me. Genealogy. I would like to see and ask you to appoint Robbie to this position. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Mr. Gray. Our next speaker will be Tom Krieger. Tom, if you'll come forward to the podium and give your name and address to the clerk.
I don't think the microphone is on.
We have been having some difficulties with microphones. There you go. Thank you.
Shut it.
There we go.
I've been sitting in seats where you all are sitting right now, and I want to thank you all for your service to the county. Thank you. And I know these meetings are not very comfortable at times. Try to break through them. And I'm here in support of Robbie McGuire for a number of reasons. I think he served the county well for a number of years. And I think when a county employee serves well, we need to reward them when the opportunity comes up. And you're faced with a moral decision. I don't know Matt Carter, never met him, but I inquired about him when I heard he was a candidate for this position. I heard nothing but great things about him. Maybe that's another reason I support Robbie. If Ben would get the position, school system loses an awesome school teacher. And so there's a learning curve, whether it be an assessor or a school teacher or anything else. And I just think we need to consider rewarding service to the county. As you well know, county employees aren't overly compensated. When they went to that position, they hang in there with us for a number of years. And of course, Robbie was promoted to chief deputy at some point, and I think it served successfully there. So I just ask you to prayerfully consider nominating or voting for him for the assessor's position. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom. Next speaker this evening is Lawrence Counts. Lawrence, you'll come forward to the podium, please, and give your name and address to the clerk.
Lawrence Counts. I reside at 604 Crestview Drive, Johnson City. I'm a practicing attorney here in Washington County and also serve as the delinquent tax attorney. So I come into contact with the assessor's office quite often. And over the years, I've learned to rely on Mr. McGuire's professionalism, his knowledge, and then just his promptness to always be ready to help and assist in any questions I have. And I think he's been very instrumental in helping me to clean up the tax rolls and to do a good job on the tax collection. From my knowledge and observations, he's very good with the public, always ready to help, and I think he has a heart for service. So I would just like to, speak in his favor. Again, I don't know Mr. Carter. I'm sure he's a great individual as well, but since I do know Robbie, I did want to just give my word of confidence for him. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Counts. Next speaker is Jamie Freeman. Jamie, if you'll come forward to the podium, please. Give your name and address to the clerk.
My name is Jamie Freeman. I live at 1389 Highway 107 in Tennessee. I've been researching the $2 million in sales tax that Mayor Grandy claimed Washington County Schools does not include in their budget. The school system presented their original FY24 budget to the Budget Committee a few months ago. The Budget Committee was informed that over $22 million sales tax revenue had been received during prior 12 months by the Washington County Department of Education. However, the Budget Committee would not allow Washington County Schools system to budget the $22 million in sales tax revenue. The Budget Committee would only allow the school system to budget $19 million, claiming the county didn't want their quote maintenance of effort to increase to the school system. Again, having tried to budget the full amount of the sales tax money, the Budget Committee just hasn't allowed the school system to do so. Even though the $2 million is not budgeted, the school system still counts on this revenue to help fund school safety upgrades, supplies, projects, salaries, etc. It's very misleading to the voting public to say the school system does not need this money, nor do they budget it. I heard Commissioner Malone state that the county has a structural funding problem. I recall Mr. Malone saying that the structural funding problem can be resolved by using the sales tax revenue balance to balance the county budget. This problem can be addressed by raising taxes as well. Something has to give, and I believe in part that it will be raising property taxes. Used in a responsible manner, I don't mind if the commission raises my property taxes. In the meantime, please vote Washington County and Johnson City School System to maintain the sales tax revenues. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Right, our next speaker is Carrie Eastrop. Carrie, if you'll come forward to the podium, please. You'll give your address to the clerk.
Carrie H. Straub, 21 Mockingbird Court, Jonesboro, Tennessee. Hey, thank you guys who have answered my text messages and my phone calls. Many of you did. If I didn't reach out to you, I just didn't have your information, but many of you did reach out to me, or did answer me. So I want to say thank you on that. And there's a lot of things I want to say, but I'm just going to try to keep it simple. I watched the last meeting. I didn't get to attend because my son plays baseball, and that's where we live at currently. But I watched the meeting, and I know that you all aired the school board meeting that had happened with some money that we were going back and forth on. I'm not going to sit up here and say that I agree 100% with what happened with our school board and that. So I'm not condoning that in any way, shape, or form. But I'm also not against our school board either, because I feel like we have a school board now that really has the kids' best interests at heart. And I feel we have a commission who's really trying to work hard to fund education, fund the jails, give people their tax, pay increases that they deserve. What I am concerned with is when you look at all the counties surrounding us, they're all doing tax increases, and it's for one reason only, and it's for inflation, and we know that. I'm not up here advocating for a tax increase, but what I am saying is that every single board out here is facing the same exact issues you guys are facing. I would not want to be in your seat because I know it has to be terribly hard. But what I haven't seen any of these other boards and commissions do is try to take money from the education system. I know that money is not budgeted. There's a few $1 million that's not, and I know that money is not budgeted because it's not been allowed. But it doesn't mean our kids do not need that money and that our schools don't need that money. We have two, commissioners that are sitting here that are educators. They can honestly tell you there's still many needs in our school. Look at our security. Look at the cameras that are in some of our schools. They're so blurry you can't even see what's going on. So that money does help services and programs that my kids do benefit from. If I was a Johnson City resident, I would probably be irate because they're getting a tax increase and they're going to lose money. So their budget is, they have to go back and redo their budget. So what I'm asking is that you think about, is this the only solution is taken from the kids? Because sometimes I think we can dig deeper and we can find other solutions to take. You all know me long enough, I'm very passionate about our education, but I feel like here lately we've all worked together, and I feel like now we're just at a standstill. It's like, okay, the easiest place to take those money is from the kids, and I just wish that y'all would really think about that and see if that's the best place that we can look at. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. Our next speaker is Paula Treese. Paula, if you'll come forward to the podium, please. You'll give your address to the clerk, Paul.
Paula Treese, 3 Pine Timbers Court, Johnson City, Tennessee. I'm a member of the Johnson City School Board. I'm a taxpayer in Johnson City and in Washington County. Today, when I was looking at my Facebook page, which I do frequently, I realized in my memories that I stood before you 2 years ago to the day, exactly. At that time, you were trying to take $3 million away from education from both of our city schools. And I remember the commission voting against it then and investing in our children. You took it back to the drawing board to find that $3 million then. Now it's $4 million, which is even worse. You're taking it away from our students. We're at a place now where our state is sending extra funding for our education. Because of the last 3 years and everything our kids have been through, being staying at home, education has become a priority everywhere it seems, but in this county, we need to increase funding for our education and for safety in our schools. Since the 90s, this portion of the local option sales tax has been earmarked for education. Let's keep it that way. Let's keep our county investing in our children and not taking monies away from them. Let's work on building our future by keeping that investment in our schools and in our children. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Next speaker is Jerry Boyd. Jerry, if you'll come forward to the podium, please.
Thank you, Jerry Boyd, 1185 West Mountain View Road, Johnson City, 37604. I come to you today as a superintendent of Washington County Schools, but also a citizen. I'm proud to be a citizen since April 2021, Washington County. I just wanted to provide some statements about the office. Your job, what you're facing is difficult, and you deserve a tremendous amount of respect for the decisions that you have to make on behalf of the county. Say that in all sincerity. Also want to clarify, and it's already been clarified, about the rural local option sales tax. It's stated, of course, that the school system has not used, does not need those funds. Well, the board has put a tremendous amount of energy and thought into utilizing those funds, even though we have not been allowed to actually budget that into the operational dollars. Whether it's focus on needed projects or a long-range plan to address salary increases for our teachers and all of our employees. They have utilized those funds specifically to make a plan and carry out that plan for salary. Last year was a tremendous step forward for our teachers. We have to continue moving the teacher salaries, educator salaries forward, and also our hourly wage funds. So that's in this year's budget as well. This year's focus was primarily the big move was on our hourly wage that provides services to our community. So, I just want to clarify that those funds are very valuable, not just to Washington County Schools, but also to our sister district in Johnson City. Overall, we serve about 16,000 students in Washington County together. And those funds are very responsibly utilized by both boards. And expected, two superintendents and the staff are expected to utilize those funds to make the maximum benefit for our students. And I believe that's what our goal is, and I know that's what you all expect. That's what we do. Reducing the amount certainly changes the plan, and plans do change. We all know your plans change too, I'm sure. But it is a big difference at the last hour of the budget process to be told that this is the direction that it may go. And it would have been nice to have a lot more discussion prior to the budget conversations to develop a plan together and prepare. I can't speak for Superintendent Barnett, but I know both of us in the process would certainly appreciate a little more heads up in working with our boards and our stakeholders in planning. But moving forward, I just hope that we can continue to work together. There are solutions out there, and I ask that you consider other solutions besides this. I think Washington County should be commended, whether the decision was just made in the 90s out of convenience or whatever, but putting 100% of the rural local option sales tax to go to the school is a very forward-thinking idea, and it certainly served the purpose well, especially after sales tax revenue has increased very significantly over the last several years. That's the revenue that you all see in front of you. But it has gone to children, and I commend the community for prioritizing, schools and education. I realize your job also extends to safety, public works, and public service administration. And I know you have to think about that in addition to education. It all works together. All those things do, and I hope that we can continue to work together. And I do ask you to just consider the importance of those funds to our schools as you make your vote later.
Thank you, Mr. Boyd. Next speaker is Gene Herron. Gene, if you'll come forward to the podium. maybe I should correct that, is to Jeannie. I think I misspoke.
You ready for me now?
Yes, you come ahead. Yes, yes.
Heard about this door.
The mayor made that door. It's a strict door. We'll blame that on the mayor.
Well, might as well.
Well, you know.
Something else funny to pass around. This is how Robbie McGuire had to start with teaching me how to understand maps. How to read tax. All the taxes that you all go through. And he used crayons and magic markers, and even got me to the point I could read these aerial photos. But this is what we started with 17 years ago, because I, with my 8 siblings and cousins, had inherited land. And I was the one sent, the most ignorant of all, down to the courthouse to learn how to subdivide this land. Have you all ever been in Robbie's office? It's covered in maps. It's got file cabinets after file cabinets. It's got big computers that show you how to look at land, how it's divided, and who your neighbors are. And I couldn't understand any of it. So he took the time to draw out these simple maps and cut them up and then paste them together, plat by plat, so I could understand what the land was like that we were dealing with, that I was supposed to work with. Over the years, he taught me how to do it, was able to buy and sell that land. I bought land in Jonesboro. I just recently built a house there. But his character of being plotty with somebody who's ignorant and had no way of grasping what he was trying to teach them, I can only compare to if I was going to try to teach you with the coloring book how to understand the human body from a nurse's perspective. Robbie did that from an assessor's perspective with a type of coloring, and it worked. And I got better, and I got smarter, and I love the land I bought and how it's all turned out. And I just want to let you know that there are Joe Publics out there like me who have to have Robbie McGuire in that office. Somebody who's that patient. And so I'm here to recommend it to you that you stay there. I will certainly be more confident. I will be one of your happiest Jonesboro citizens if I know he's there because he's got my back. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you coming. Our next speaker tonight is Angel Hefty. Angel? You're going to be our final speaker tonight, ain't
Save the best for last.
you? That's exactly right.
My name is Angel Hefty. I live at 4004 West Boulevard, City. Lifetime resident of Washington County. I work with Carrier and Hickey attorneys, and I have for the last 25 years. Our office specializes in real estate closings, real estate law, and I have worked with Robbie for the last 25 years. Specifically, the last 16 years, the chief deputy of the Washington County Assessor's Office. I can highly speak for his knowledge, for his willingness to help work with us or with situations. We do a lot of rollback taxes, farms or social setup. Our real estate market has been flooded in the past few years in Washington County and all around the surrounding counties. I feel like Robbie has a good working knowledge. He's able to make decisions quickly because he has done this for so long. I feel like that is so important in our business, as busy as our market has been. I I feel like Robbie is the best candidate for the Washington County Assessor for those reasons and the fact that he has a working knowledge of the duties and responsibilities. Thank you.
Thank you, Angel. That will conclude our public comments for this evening. We'll go ahead and move right on into the budget committee report. Commissioner England?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You'll find the meeting minutes to our meeting starting on page 1 for our May 22nd meeting, on page 3 for the meeting on June 5th, and page 13 for our June 9th. We have several resolutions to bring before the commission this evening. Resolution number 23-06-01. Find that on page 14. That's resolution amending fiscal year budget 2022-2023 in reference to the sheriff's department retirement. This resolution comes from you in the budget committee. For your approval.
It's a motion by Commissioner England, seconded by Commissioner Malone to approve the resolution. Questions or discussion? Seeing no questions, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Tucker,
Yes.
Johnson, Fitzgerald,
Yes.
Edens,
Yes.
Davenport,
Yes.
Matherly,
Yes.
England,
Yes.
Malone,
Yes.
Williams, Tamita,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Wexler,
Yes.
Huffine,
Yes.
Wheeler,
Yes.
Carter.
Yes.
15 yes.
15 yes, and the resolution passes. Commissioner England?
Our next resolution is resolution number 23-06-02. You can find that on page 16. Resolution amending fiscal year budget 2022-2023 in reference to the circuit court mixer amplifier support. Resolution also comes from the budget committee. And I move for its approval.
Motion made by Commissioner England. Do we have a second? Seconded by Commissioner Tucker to approve the resolution. Question or discussion?
Call the question.
Question's been called. Madam Clerk, if you'll call the roll, please.
Tucker,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Fitzgerald,
Yes.
Edens,
Yes.
Davenport,
Yes.
Matherly,
Yes.
England,
Yes.
Malone,
Yes.
Williams, Tamita,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Wexler,
Yes.
Huffine,
Yes.
Wheeler,
Yes.
Carter.
Yes.
15 yes.
15 yes, and the resolution passes. Commissioner England?
Okay, the next resolution, number 23-06-03, you'll find that on page 18. This resolution is amending fiscal year budget 2022-2023 in reference to Washington County Industrial Development Fleet. This resolution comes from you from the budget committee, and I move for its
Motion made by Commissioner England to approve the resolution, seconded by Commissioner Wexler. Question or discussion?
All for the question.
Question's been called. Madam Clerk, if you'll call the roll, please.
Tucker,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Fitzgerald,
Yes.
Edens,
Yes.
Davenport,
Yes.
Matherly,
Yes.
England,
Yes.
Malone,
Yes.
Williams, Tamita,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Wexler,
Yes.
Huffine,
Yes.
Wheeler,
Yes.
Carter.
Yes.
15 yes.
15 yes, and the resolution passes. Commissioner England?
The next resolution, resolution number 23-06-04. Find that resolution on page 20. Resolution amending fiscal year budget 2022-2023 in reference to the final reallocation of fiscal year 2022-2023.
Motion,
I don't say this, but this resolution comes from the budget committee for your approval.
motion made by Commissioner England, seconded by Commissioner Malone to approve the resolution. Question or discussion?
All for the question.
Question's been called. Madam Clerk, if you'll call the roll, please.
Tucker,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Fitzgerald,
Yes.
Edens,
Yes.
Davenport, Matherly,
Yes.
England,
Yes.
Malone,
Yes.
Williams, Tamita,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Wexler,
Yes.
Huffine,
Yes.
Wheeler,
Yes.
Carter.
Yes.
15 yes.
15 yes, and the resolution passes. Commissioner England?
All right, next resolution, number 23-06-05. Find that on page 24. Resolution amending fiscal year budget 2022-2023 in reference to Washington County School Budget Committee. This resolution comes to you from the Budget Committee, and I move to approve.
Motion made by Commissioner England, seconded by Commissioner Jones to approve the resolution. Question or discussion?
All the questions.
Question's been called. Madam Clerk, if you'll call the roll, please.
Tucker, Johnson,
Yes.
Fitzgerald,
Yes.
Edens,
Yes.
Davenport,
Yes.
Matherly,
Yes.
England,
Yes.
Malone,
Yes.
Williams, Tamita,
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Wexler,
Yes.
Huffine,
Yes.
Wheeler,
Yes.
Carter.
Yes.
15 yes.
15 yes, and the resolution passes. Commissioner England?
Next resolution number 23-06-06. Find it on page 38 of the packet. This resolution making appropriations for the various funds, departments, institutions, offices, and agencies of the Washington County, Tennessee for the fiscal year effective July 1st, 2023, and ending June 30th, 2024. Resolution comes to you from the Budget Committee, and I move to approve.
Motion made by Commissioner England to approve the resolution. Have a second? Second by Commissioner Tucker. Question? Discussion? Commissioner Davenport?
Yeah, just a question, we're not setting a percentage to go into, we're actually setting the tax at 215. And I guess my question is, if we have questions or concerns about the budget, and we pass the 215 of assessed value, what would we do, how would we go back?
Mayor?
I think the tax levy is 07.
Yeah, that's the next resolution.
Okay, yeah, okay. I thought it was 23 or 606.
Yeah,
Okay,
F 23,
you're right.
230606.
My bad.
This is the budget. Let's, I think
Well, I just wanted to make sure to you, 07, 06, I think, is predicated on 07. So that, I think that's what the commissioner was asking.
yeah, I think we need to clarify that a little bit, Allison.
Thank you.
Mitch, can you clarify just a little bit about the tax rate and how both these resolutions work together to
Yes, be happy to. Unless one of our budget committee members would like to handle that. The next resolution, this resolution that you have in front of you is the appropriation resolution, where you set forth what you give the charitable organization, fire department, and whatnot. It's also the resolution that sets the expenditure budgets for various funds of the county, general fund, solid waste, highway, debt service, et cetera, et cetera. The next resolution that you have is essentially the funding resolution for that, and that is the tax levy. And that is where the $2.15, you will act on that, obviously. If that were to change, then the budget essentially will, depending on the magnitude of it, it could create some change. And then the third resolution you have is all of it wrapped together and what we put in a budget book, which several years ago, the auditor said, well, where did you ever adopt your various income streams? So that's now all in that budget book. Reset process. Reset.
So Mitch, as far as the local option goes, which resolution?
It would, it is in the second resolution.
It would be in the second, the tax,
That was,
tax revenue.
yes, sir, it's, third or fourth section.
That's right. That's right. Okay.
Any other questions? Right now? I'm here.
All right. Any other questions, discussion?
All the questions.
Questions been called? Madam Clerk, if you'll call the roll, please.
Tucker,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Fitzgerald,
Yes.
Edens,
Yes.
Davenport,
Yes.
Matherly,
Yes.
England,
Yes.
Malone,
Yes.
Williams, Tamita,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Wexler,
Yes.
Huffine,
Yes.
Wheeler,
Yes.
Carter.
Yes.
15 yes.
15 yes, and the resolution passes. Commissioner England?
All right, next resolution number 430607, you'll find it on page 99 in your packet. This is the resolution fixing the tax levy for Washington County, Tennessee for the fiscal year effective July 1st, 2023, ending June 30th, 2024. Resolution comes in the form of a motion from the budget.
Motion made by Commissioner England to approve the resolution. Have a second? Second by Commissioner Wheeler. Question or discussion? Commissioner Jones?
I just have a few thoughts about this particular resolution. And I want to start by saying that I'm always really proud of our budget committee, and I'm really proud of our process. We've improved our communication with each other and with the public in having early on budget meetings. I think that I've been on this commission, this is my 5th time to go through the budget process. And I've always been impressed by how fiscally conservative the county commission has been. But I think that we can be fiscally conservative and also forward thinking. We don't have a crystal ball about what will happen with sales tax in the future. We don't have a crystal ball about exactly what expenses will be next year, but we do kind of know 2 things. One is that costs have increased and may even continue to increase, and will likely have a gap next year as well. And the second thing we know is that we need to be preparing for growth. And I feel like we generally budget responsively to gaps instead of proactively in the way that we probably should be, by looking ahead and thinking about how our infrastructure needs will be changing in the future. So these are the 2 things we know, and we know those things well enough to know that we're going to be in a position next year where we're going to need additional revenue again. And in my opinion, the best way to do that and work with our community partners and schools and with everyone is to take a different approach. And that would be to be a bit more planful about this year and next year, to take less away from the schools in terms of the rural local option sales tax. Perhaps we just take half of that half. And then complement that by doing a small tax increase, property tax increase, about 6 or 7 cents to account for the other $2 million. This would provide us with 2 revenue streams, and we would allow the schools to prepare for that additional cut again next year, allow citizens to plan for an additional small property tax next year. And so we would be able to basically be projecting a plan that's coming forward and communicating with the community in a planful and transparent manner. I know that's not necessarily how we've done it in the past, and it may sound like it's, and I know the city's planning on engaging a property tax increase as well. But I do think we're gonna be looking at a big property tax increase next year. And I do think our citizens would appreciate it if we would take smaller steps and project something going forward rather than just waiting until next year and scrambling to figure out another revenue source. So that's all I have to say about that.
Thank you, Commissioner. Mr. Tucker?
So we don't know if our tax is gonna go up next year, just like the sales tax, it's gonna increase. I mean, I don't see things slowing down. I think our sales tax money is gonna keep coming in. I mean, it's doubled over the last 3 or 4 years.
So I know a lot of them from the audience in the school was talking that we're taking away. I don't know that we've ever took anything away from the school board. I've never known our school board ever did anything that they haven't got. I do know, they get to give raises out of their fund, but I mean, we're trying to do the same thing as all the employees in the county. And I finally got a resolution when this sales tax was adopted back on June 25th, 1990. That when this was done back in the 90s, and I thought this is what it was for, but now I've got it in writing, the school board was needing extra funds back then. They were struggling. And that's when, from my understanding, that's when the commission back then elected to let them have 100%. And it says right here, problem of balancing their budget. It says it on the resolution. So we're sitting here on the other side now, and we've got the problem that the school board had. They had the problem back in the 90s, and we've got the problem now trying to balance a budget. And if we do a small increase in taxes or a large increase, you're going to double tax the citizens in Johnson City. They've already been notified they're going to get a sales tax. So the budget committee, and I'm one of them, and the mayor and all of us worked hard to try to prevent a sales tax, especially for the ones in Johnson City, not double them up. So with everything being said, I don't think we're taking anything away from the school. I mean, I was in the school system back in the 70s, and I've never known that we need anything in the school. The school's talking about doing some work for security and the SOR work officer. Well, the state's got $40 million, and they're going to get part of that to the state. They're going to get an SRO officer in every school, with the sheriff department paying almost $1 million last year for that out of his budget. Now, from my understanding, it's going to come from the state of Tennessee. So I think our best option for our taxpayers, not to increase their taxes, take part of this sales tax money to offset this budget, and come back and look at this in 2 years and see if we need to re-look at it. But everything we looked at this year, we feel like this is the best option we have to do for this year to keep from raising taxes. We found a place we can get the money, and we're not taking all their money. They got plenty of money. It's over $23 million in their general fund, and Johnson City's probably got close to that. So it ain't that we're trying to take anything away. I would never take anything from the school board that I thought was going to hurt our education, and that's the way all of us feel on this budget. And we even have the support. I talked to a lot of the commissioners on the outside of this, and to get their approval. So I make a motion that we do that. Come back and look at it in 2 more years, the sales tax on it. See if we need to go back the other way. Thank you. Yeah, this was just for 1 year. The one back in June of 1990, it was just for 1 year, even though it's been there for several years. It was for 1 year.
Okay, so right now we have a motion, is that correct? We have a motion second to approve. Are you wanting to amend the resolution that we currently have? Is that what your motion?
You just have to relook at it in 2 years.
2 years. Okay. Which section of that resolution are you wanting to add that into, Commissioner Tucker? Commissioner Tamita?
Just for clarification, can we make it a hard stop in 2 years to come back and look? Because, if you don't put an end date, that end date never comes. So can we word it that it is a temporary, you come back and this commission with information in hand, we don't know what we don't know. And, it would make sense, but if we leave it open-ended and if we say, oh, we'll look at it in 2 years, well, maybe we will, maybe we won't, right?
Yeah.
So I would be comfortable if that verbiage was in there making it finite.
Okay, so we have a motion that when we need a second on Commissioner Tucker's motion.
With that verbiage.
Before we get too deep into this, let's ask the attorney if we can bind that for 2 years. Allison, could you kind of elaborate on that just a little bit?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can you hear me? Is that okay?
Yeah, we got you on now.
Thank you. The question then is whether this commission can bind next year's commission with a distribution of the local option sales tax. I think that Commissioner Tucker is suggesting that the local option sales tax be revised with a recital that it would hold for 2 years. And I think next year's commission, whether it's all 15 of you, of course, your term continues through that time, but I think that you are to take it 1 year at a time. Tonight's business is for fiscal year 24, which starts July 1, 2023, and will run through June 30th. I hear Commissioner Tucker is perhaps discussing a policy, and the same would be true, that what you bind your commission for fiscal year 24 does not necessarily bind the county forever. And so a commissioner who wants to look at it in 2 years could make that same argument next year that it would hold steady. I think that's the way you'd accomplish it, but I don't think you have the authority to look at FY 25 tonight and make that in your recital. I don't know if the Director of Accounts and Budgets has any thoughts, that he's seen something different from the audit.
You're right, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Commissioner Huffine, I think you were speaking next.
That was going to be my question, class comment was, you know, 1 year is, yeah.
All right, Commissioner Wheeler?
I understand what the county fair say and agree with that, but I also understand what Commissioner Tamika is talking about. And I think we could say that we are directing, we could add in this, that we're directing, that we can, there's no reason we can't say that we are going to review it in detail, and we're gonna set a commission meeting to review it in detail next year, the budget process, or the following year. I think we can't commit that it's going to go for 2 years or that it's gonna stop in 2 years. But there's no reason we couldn't tonight and say that we're going to meet and review it in 2 years. Just, you know, but all it takes is a whole vote to change that. That's the same through all the time. But we would have said, and we would have it in a resolution that we're going to review it. Annually, or I think, I like the idea of annually, but it could be biannually, but I do like the idea.
Well, I mean, I guess we can't bind it annually, or biannually, but I can bind it annually for the process.
We say that Commissioner Tucker's motion is dead. So I guess I'm going back to him just a minute to see if he would revise his motion any or pass along. Yes, Commissioner Tucker.
So I'll revise my motion and make it on a yearly basis. So let's look at that next year at the budget time.
And you would a second on that, Commissioner Mina? Okay. Commissioner Wexler?
So I want to make sure I get this right. If we did nothing on the original resolution, we have to, we're just doing this 1 year at a time. I mean, this is just for 1 year. So, I mean, if we didn't, we don't have to put in there that we'll review it next year, because we're gonna review it automatically anyway. We have to go through this process every year, so, and it says in here, just from June 30th through the 1st of July next year. So we can put the verses in there.
Commissioner Huffine?
So I understand both sides of that. I think the intent is to make sure that we have an awareness level of this action and we follow up and do review it. I think that our predecessors, actually, that may very well have been their intent. They did not have anything in the resolution that called for that. So the following year, there was no review of that. That leads us to where we are tonight. I think it's an excellent idea to have something in there that prompts us to review that on an annual basis. To Commissioner Jones's point there, circumstances change every single day. So the circumstances between now and this time next year is going to change tremendously. All of us have a lot of water that goes over the dam between now and then. Having something that prompts us to review that, I think is an excellent idea. I would fully support that.
Commissioner Davenport?
Yes, when this started to come up, I still see this as taking money away from the school system. And I first heard about the fund balances, 20-some million, And it was kind of easy to get emotional about that. We're having tough times, they've got 20-some million. And then I thought about, why did I make a decision to run for county commission 8 years ago? And it was to support our whole county, but including what I consider the most important thing in the county is our safety. I want to support a sheriff department. Because I don't think if you're not safe, it doesn't matter if you're educated or not. Now, what goes right along with that is education. Because that goes into crime rates and things like that too. And there's no way that I can sit here and vote to decrease spending or decrease funding the school board. And to say we're going to come back and look at it, you're exactly right. We come back and look at the budget every year. We put something in there that says this dissolves next year. And we go back to the old rate. That's still within a year. That's a different stereo. But that's my thoughts on the tax, the sales tax and divvying up. And it is by law, you have to give 50%. And I do not want to live in a community that funds our school system at the lowest amount established by law. I want to live in a community that funds the school at a higher level than just the base level.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. We have an amendment on the floor that we're considering. Commissioner Malone?
Well, I think I understand the reasoning and motive behind the motion, but I do believe it's unnecessary in that the budget, the entire budget, school budget, every one of our, budget for public safety, the highway fund, solid waste, they all get reviewed annually. Revenues, the sources of revenues and expenses. So I really see it as being an unnecessary amendment, perhaps just designed to maybe make the public feel better about it, but we review the budget and have to approve it every year. So I see it as an unnecessary amendment.
Commissioner Jones?
I just would remind everyone to please consider microphones. People who are watching can hear us if we do that. But also, I'll just say that I can understand where this amendment is coming from and the desire to revisit for the schools, but it really is the opposite of kind of what I was describing earlier, in that it dangles this couple $1 million out there year to year. So the schools are constantly having to guess, are we gonna get that 2 million this year or not? It's not a way for anyone to be planful as they're preparing for their budgets, not know whether the county's gonna change its mind or not year to year. So I understand why you would think it would be a generous way to think about it, but it doesn't help for planning.
Commissioner Carter?
What's the amendment?
Well, let's back up here just a minute. The amendment was to review the changes to the sales tax annually. That was my best recall.
Did Commissioner Davenport?
Commissioner Tucker made the motion and Commissioner Tomita seconded it.
Yes, we go first and second. We're gonna vote this up now.
No.
Commissioner Carter?
I think that this is going to have support if we can somehow word just that our baseline is the schools, and our norm is that the schools get this unless something extraordinary happens, which happened this year. I know that we will revisit it every year, but I think that we're gonna save ourselves a lot of comment for something that we should word it. For this year.
Commissioner Committee?
Yeah, and I agree with that. I would just be more comfortable with verbiage that made it addressable. And I know maybe that is unnecessary, because we can address anything we want to address, but, you know, it's the kind of thing, if everybody's in charge, nobody's in charge. And if there's no specific verbiage in there, you can just pass by it. That's kind of how we got to where we were. I would withdraw my second and put the verbiage in where, as Commissioner Carter stated, that, you know, that it's a one-off, it is a one-off and not. Yeah, well, you still have to do it. I will withdraw my second.
Is there another second for Commissioner Tucker's motion?
Second.
Commissioner Johnson seconds the motion. Commissioner Huffine?
So, Commissioner Jones made a comment there that I think is very material, especially moving forward. Our budget process is quite complicated. You have to collect all the information, from all the different departments, and that's rather time consuming. That has to occur before the budget committee can really start to work and have any way of gauging where we are, what kind of funding we're going to need. So it's a complicated process. I think we've done, again, the best job this year I've seen as far as communication, transparency, and engagement. But I think there's still room for improvement. And I'll speak specifically to the school board, since that's the discussion, and this goes to Johnson City and to Washington County. The closer we work together when they are developing their budgets, as they are developing their budgets, I think it is critical. Imperative. They have conversations with our director to understand at that point in time, where is the county's position? Where do we think we are? Try to get the absolute best forward picture they possibly can. When you're building a budget, if you just build a flat budget, here it is, without contingencies, you set yourself up for failure on that budget. You have to have contingencies. And that's what I would recommend the school boards and all the departments. What are their contingencies? Have a discussion with Mitch, understand what the landscape is when you're creating yours, what it looks like in the future, build your contingencies. So that if we're in this situation, a year from now, 2 years from now, well, if it's $2 million, they already have a fallback plan. But that comes down to communications and working together closer than we have in the past. I fully support and having always support education in this county. I've said it over and over. There's nothing more important that this body can do to ensure that we have the best education system we possibly can. I heard a couple comments tonight. Invest in the children. Absolutely. But part of that investment is in the sheriff's department to make sure we have safe schools, safe highways. It's in the highway department to make sure we've got good highways. That's our challenge as a commission, is make sure we spread this money across the entire county. I think Mr. Boyd said 16,000 students, a couple thousand teachers, parents. You're looking at ballpark about 37% of the residents, 38% of the residents you can directly associate with the schools. What about the balance of the people in Washington County? School board, you're fortunate. You are solely focused on the students, as you should be. And I applaud every day that focus and fully support that focus. But that puts us in a position, though, we've got to balance this 60 other percent as well. I have a large contingent of my district that are in the city. They already know they're going to have a tax increase. I've had countless phone calls. Please, do everything you can not to raise our taxes this year. I'm struggling financially now. Please don't put any more burden on me. I feel that responsibility. I just think we've got to do everything we can this year. And I think every year it changes. We should review this every single year. If we need to put something in writing that forces us to do that, absolutely. That's all I got to say.
Mr. England?
Well, I just find it hard to believe when people say that this commission and prior commissioners not support our schools. I mean, you look at the new Boones Creek School, state-of-the-art facility. The new Jonesboro School that's under construction now, be completed next year. And the route we had to take to get that school done, that without a tax increase. I think we've done more than our share to support the students and I applaud the budget, because I'm on the budget committee. But without the rest of the members' help and the mayor and it has been harder than hard, but that's all I got.
Commissioner Wheeler?
I would like to ask, and I let him know I was gonna do this, so I'm not bringing this on, but I'd like to ask the mayor to speak to this as our chief financial officer, what his recommendation is as far as what we're trying to do this year and what the best thing recommend.
Obviously, we have challenges in front of us this year. And with the goal, as every year, to try to provide for the citizens of Washington County with tax relief. We had 3 full commission meetings. Folks heard from our elected officials, department heads, and their meetings. We all know the pressures of inflation and for those that are in business out there, the cost of having employees. So, having said that, the budget committee did take the direction from the full commission at the last meeting to present to you tonight the budget utilizing a change in the sales tax revenue distribution. The second half of the sales tax collected and then incorporated as part of Washington County is appropriated in each budget. Whether you want to include language in this year's budget, specifically addressing it again next year or not, it will be done. It has been done. Look at last year's budget, for example, in the same paragraph that cites the citizen pay annotation and the distribution of the sales tax dollars this year to general fund. Last year it said to the schools. And so that is a part of the budget. It has been as long as I've been part of it. It was put in place apparently for a 1-year budget fix for the school in 1990, but it's been renewed every year. And again, this year's recommendation to allocate the revenue County Development Fund is and will be reevaluated next year. Next year, budget process will again evaluate those technology. So if you like the language in there, go forward, we'll change it, and we can make that amendment. Then we'll look at it. Washington County general fund budget is fiscally conservative. As you know, our policy requires that the general fund maintain 4 months worth of budgeted revenue. And that was put in place
decade or so ago, specifically to be the backstop for county money and financial needs. Whether it's schools or other departments or any other, there's, this year, that 4 months worth of budgeted fund is about $19 million. So we have taken excess money in past years into that policies of it. But still, this budget projects that we will, in the year, still be $19 million in reserve. And that's just so that we don't have to have excess fund reserve in multiple places across the county. I think we heard at the last meeting, Mr. Boyd say that the schools are required to maintain 3% of their budget, which this year is a little less than $3 million. And so when you look at it, if their general fund budget at $23 million, roughly 7 times what's required, it appeared, well, let's just say that I think the commission, maybe led by the budget committee, believed that that was one of these places in the county that had some excess funds. And again, we looked at Washington County budget, whole $200 million budget, including schools. Schools are half. With schools being over half the total budget, I don't think anyone can say that Washington County legislation, Washington County leadership doesn't value education. It is, I'll just disagree lightly with Mr. Davenport that education is our number one priority in Washington. And behind that is public safety, and behind that, if you look at the way the money is allocated, it's exactly those are. And I think those things are critical as well as other county operations. We're sitting in a building that houses 50, 60 people a day and conducts the court business, legal business of Washington County. Next door is a detention center that houses sometimes as many as 600 of our special guests. For a hotel. It's a big operation. Somebody mentioned it's complicated. I don't know that. But I just, from my perspective, I just want to thank you all for the time that you invested in the budget process, 3 full commission meetings, and a lot of other hours in place. Generally, I just say that our job is to try to balance funds across that big $200 million operation, and do that in a way that we do that as long as we can. We do the taxpayers, we will property taxpayers, and particularly as Commissioner Tucker mentioned earlier, with other communities around us, including our primary, well, really our 2 cities in the county anticipating tax increases. This would be very critical to have on. I'll be happy to take questions.
Commissioner Davenport?
I said safety and then schools, not school and safety. But also, I wonder, 2 years ago, we had the same conversation. And a lot of safety commissioners here voted it down. I wonder if we took that money away 2 years ago, if the pay scale that Washington County made a year ago would have been possible, or would our teachers still be a very, very unfair, and we couldn't keep teachers because of the pay scale. So again, you never know what's coming around the corner. And again, that's why I'm where I'm at with this.
Commissioner Wexler?
Could you state the resolution and the amendment?
Yes, the amendment is, we're getting ready to vote on that here in just a minute. Was just to review the sales tax allocation each year, and I guess that would be during the budget time.
It's 2 years.
Okay, turn it once. Okay.
1 year. Yeah.
I'd like to call a question on the amendment.
Thank you. Right. Madam Clerk, the question's been called on the amendment. Will you just call the roll?
Tucker,
Okay,
I'm sorry, Commissioner.
forgive a simple PE teacher, but we are just voting on the amendment, right?
Yes, we're just voting on the amendment.
Been a lot of conversations, to clarify, that we are just voting on.
We're just on the
on
amendment.
resolution.
Yeah, we're not nearly that far yet, so yes, just on the Commissioner Tucker's amendment that was seconded by Commissioner Johnson.
Can we have
Mr.
the
Carter?
amendment stated, please?
Yes, this amendment would just, I think Commissioner Tucker's amendment stated that we would review this, the sales tax allocation, annually. Specific to the sales tax allocation.
Mr. Chairman, can I just weigh in one granular point? Is it's the sales tax distribution is what we would put in the resolution, just to be
Well,
clear on the front end. I'm sorry to get
let's get
word
it.
specific, but if you don't mind, that way it'll read exactly the way you've got it on the floor tonight. If I could just have to, for Commissioner Tucker is, I think his request is to review the sales tax distribution annually. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, ma'am. All right.
Call for the question?
Yes, again, yes, thank you.
Again?
Yeah, I think Commissioner Huffine's about to whip me up there. All right. Madam Clerk, if you'll call the roll on the amendment.
Tucker,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Fitzgerald,
Yes.
Edens,
No.
Davenport,
No.
Matherly,
No.
England,
Yes.
Malone,
No.
Williams, Tamita,
No.
Jones,
No.
Wexler,
Yes.
Huffine,
Yes.
Wheeler,
Yes.
Carter.
No.
Eight yes, 7 no.
8 yes and 7 no, and the amendment passes. All right, we're back to the resolution as amended now. That was resolution 230607.
Call for the question.
Question has been called. Madam Clerk, if you'll call the roll on that resolution as amended.
Tucker,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Fitzgerald,
Yes.
Edens,
No.
Davenport,
No.
Matherly,
No.
England,
Yes.
Malone,
Yes.
Williams, Tamita,
No.
Jones,
No.
Wexler,
Yes.
Huffine,
Yes.
Wheeler,
Yes.
Carter.
No.
9 yes, 6 no.
9 yes, 6 no, and the resolution passes. Commissioner Ingram?
All right, our final resolution tonight is resolution number 23-06-08. I'm on page 101. This is resolution adopting the budget for Washington County, Tennessee for the fiscal year effective July 1st, 2023, and ending June 30th, 2024. From the budget committee.
Motion made by Commissioner England to approve the resolution. And second by Commissioner Williams.
Call for the question.
Question's been called. Madam Clerk, if you'll call the roll, please.
Tucker,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Fitzgerald,
Yes.
Edens,
Yes.
Davenport,
No.
Matherly,
No.
England,
Yes.
Malone,
Yes.
Williams, Tamita,
No.
Jones,
No.
Wexler,
Yes.
Huffine,
Yes.
Wheeler,
Yes.
Carter.
Yes.
11 yes, 4 no.
11 yes, 4 no, and the resolution passes. Anything else, Commissioner England?
Fortunately, no,
Yeah, that was a pretty hard one, them last three. We appreciate all the work the budget committee done. They've done a great job this year and put a lot of effort into it. And I appreciate the commission showing up for all these extra meetings we had for the budget. And that's a lot to be said. I really appreciate you all doing that. I know you put a lot of time in it. And Mayor, thank you, and Mitch as well, and our attorney. and everybody that pitched in and got this done. And Sherry, thank you too. And Cheryl, thank you. Because Laura, because I know you all, had to be here, and we appreciate all that time you put in. And Blake, I'm not leaving you and Matthew out. We couldn't have done it without you. So thank you so much. And Sheriff, thank you for the great deputies always flying to us during these meetings. And we appreciate all that you do for us all at every meeting, all the time. Appreciate you.
It's the mix.
That's it. I should think Sarah's who I should be thinking. All right, we do have one more item left on the agenda. I'm gonna have to do it, looks like. I was gonna try to talk Commissioner England just on, going on down the line. We do have an election tonight, and we do need to appoint a new property assessor. We will open the floor here in just a few minutes for nominations from the commissioners. And is there anything we need to know, Mr. Attorney? Ms. Wilkinson, before we get started?
I will just remind you that you have it on the agenda tonight per statute, and you'll take nominations under your rules, Rule 10. Each nomination, any nomination will come from a commissioner, and you can only nominate one person. So just if you'll keep that in mind, I think the rest is known to you. You've had appointments before, and you'll have a roll call vote. Your clerk is ready to take those votes, as you always have. So if any questions come up, you let me know.
And following this, once we determine who that property assessor is going to be, our clerk is ready to swear them in. So we're all ready for that tonight. So thank you once again, Ms. Wilkins, for all the work you've done on assisting me in changing notices and doing all those things. And I appreciate all the work you and the legal office have done.
It's a privilege. Thank you.
So let us go ahead and open the floor for nominations for a property assessor. Commissioner England?
I nominate Robbie McGuire, Washington County Property Assessor.
Commissioner England has nominated Robbie McGuire. Commissioner Edens?
I'd like to nominate Commissioner Ben Carter for the position.
All right. Commissioner Edens has nominated Commissioner Carter.
Can I speak to the nomination, please?
Absolutely, Commissioner Carter.
I want to thank each of you all for the support over the past few weeks. I really appreciate all the conversations that we had. I think I would be an excellent candidate for the assessor's job, but at this time, I think it's in the county's best interest that I remain on the commission, and I don't want to resign from the commission. So I respectfully decline the nomination.
I want to say you've made a real impression on all of us as one of the new commissioners, and I appreciate your expertise and time that you have given the budget committee and everything else. You're going to have a real future to be in our Washington County ordinance.
Commissioner Huffine?
I just have to reiterate that, Dennis, because I've worked with you and seen your integrity, which you just truly demonstrated and confirmed it right there. You made a commitment to this commission. I truly appreciate you feeling commitment to this commission. I look forward to working with you to balance of this. Thank you very much. As Commissioner Williams, you have such a bright future. Hope I live long enough so we can live it all.
Commissioner Fitzgerald?
That goal, being a for politicians in our kind of sticks, being he's been one top guy. I mean, I certainly he's gonna be a good guy. County, he's gonna go a long way. You'll get him back on.
Commissioner Edens? Yes, Commissioner Edens?
Commissioner Carter, if you can't tell,
I think I could speak for the entire commission. I don't take that lightly in saying there is not a soul disappointed that you're still gonna be in that chair right there.
Especially the chairman, because we'd have had another vacancy. So we won't be able to stay, for sure, as long as he wants to be here, that's for sure.
And I just want to applaud you for your being on the commission. You do a great job. The call I had to make to you a couple of weeks ago was probably one of the hardest calls I ever had to make, but, glad it worked out the way it did. God got his hand on this, and I agree with everybody here. You're gonna go a long way. Thank you for your friendship.
Commissioner Huffine?
I move that nomination cease and we vote for our new assessor of acclamation, please, sir.
All right, so we have a motion for, Commissioner McGuire to be elected by acclamation. Commissioner Huffine, and seconded by Commissioner Wexler. All in favor of that motion signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Congratulations. All that. We'll give you a few minutes to prepare your election speech. All right, you've had a few minutes. Now the podium's ready.
Thank you. You all don't know this, but me and Ben have had a what little I know, we're getting a lot of respect for him. And I told him, and I'll tell all of you, it's not about the individuals, about what's best for the county. And it's about God. When Freddie Malone be the best commissioner I ever was what's God knows. Appreciate the confidence in you. You know, we're getting ready to go through replacement. It's gonna be a very difficult time. We're gonna see values double, even triple. So just be prepared. And that's what we're working on daily. And if y'all have any questions, my door is always open. Anything I can do to help the commission or any individual. You know, what I just want to say tonight, you've heard from professional people and you just heard from common citizens. I'm the best to treat everybody the same. And I think that's what we ought to do is serve. Because we're here to serve the people. No matter what capacity.
All right, thank you, Robbie. Commissioner Malone?
I'm just going to be jealous and be the first to congratulate you on your appointment as the next assessor. And the second comments about Mr. Carter, I'm glad you will be consistent in the service. Thank you. Thank you, Jim.
Robbie, we need to get you sworn in though, before you are the assessor tomorrow. So after that, I'm going to be the first one because you're not really it yet. I just want to remind Freddie of that. I got to pick on him because he likes to get me pretty regular. Okay, Cheryl, you want to go out there and do it at the podium? I mean, you don't get to do that very often.
I mean, you can come right.
Okay. Come on up, Robbie. You're going to make a friend here when you come up here and do it.
If you will raise your right hand, and when I say this speech, just say I will. I do solemnly swear to support the constitutions of Tennessee and the United States and to faithfully perform the duties of assessor, which I am about to assume. I, Robbie McGuire, assessor of property of the County of Washington, State of Tennessee, do solemnly affirm that I will appraise, classify, and assess all taxable property of the County of Washington according to the Constitution of Tennessee and the laws of the state. That I will truly report all persons who fail or refuse to list their taxable property or who have, to my knowledge, returned a fraudulent list, and that I will faithfully, impartially, and honestly discharge my duties as assessor of property according to the law to the best of my knowledge and ability without fear, favor, or affection, so help me God.
I do.
Congratulations.
Well, even though Cheryl did get in front of me and Freddie, me and you both failed to share, that's nothing new for me anyway. But you know, I worked with a sheriff one time and he made a commitment and he had to serve his constituents. And I think the greatest thing in a community that you live in can be elected commissioner and take that commitment to serve your constituents. And, Ben, your constituents love you. I tell you, they sure do. And they're going to be happy you're staying. I know this commission is. And you have a lot to bring to the table here for commission, not only this year, but many years to come, if that's what you want. And we appreciate you so much, just the relationship we've had here together. So seeing that this is a special meeting and there's nothing else we can talk about, we have a motion to adjourn. Motion made by Commissioner Wexler, seconded by Commissioner Huffine to adjourn. All in favor of adjourning, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? We're adjourned.
I did.